We often feel so self-conscious in our character choices, in our stage energy, in our portrayal, because we haven't gone far enough. The storytelling of that moment requires something bigger. And if we can just muster up a little bit more courage to go to that next level, everything will just clunk into place and the insecurity and uncertainty will melt away. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, 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 welcome back, Foster fam. Today, we're going to wrap up the series on what you as a trial attorney can learn from theater and how theater skills directly transfer over to courtroom presentation skills. I hope you've had some good takeaways from this series. I personally was really surprised when I began transferring my theater and music performance knowledge over to courtroom communication. But it does make perfect sense that there would be a natural crossover. One of my podcast reviewers thinks so too. They wrote, "I have been a trial attorney for 15 years. During that time, it's shocking how little training I have ever received on using my voice as a physical tool. Christy is a true expert in her craft, and I can't wait to strengthen my voice through her expertise. Plus, listening to the sound of her voice is just plain inspiring." Well, thank you so much for that. In the last episode, I talked about how important it is to model to jurors what you want mirrored back. So don't think for a second that I'm not doing the same thing here. I'm modeling to y'all what a dynamic, full spectrum voice is with the hopes that you'll begin to mirror that back. So there. There's a little inside the mind of Christy secret for you. I do have ulterior motives here. Before we get into today's topic, I just wanted to share something that I came across this week that really tickled me. Forgive me, I tried to track down the original source, but it was a comment section from a post someone wrote about something they saw on TikTok, and well, you know how that rabbit hole goes. But here's what it was. Again, someone saw someone else's TikTok post where a woman asked, "What are some things you do to be more whimsical?" And these were some of the responses in the comments. "If I want to have a negative thought about myself, I have to think them in a Cockney accent. I say, 'My lady,' every time I walk past a mirror." I love this one. "I teach the dog how to do things, either to make it more interesting for me, let me show you how to start a load of laundry, or to help him feel included. Do you remember how to make coffee, or should I walk you through it again? I know it's hard to remember since you can't practice without thumbs. I tell my dishes it's bath time." Whenever I drop or mess something up, when I'm alone, I bow and say, and seen. Instead of getting frustrated, I've done it for so long that I no longer get annoyed, and laughing is my first response to my mistakes. Look at just a couple more. I call my to-do list my ta-da list and do jazz hands as I check them off. Last one. Whenever I buy something online and it asks, is this a gift? I select that option and write little notes to myself along the lines of, you're awesome, and I just wanted to get this to you to let you know I was thinking of you. Oh, how great are those? I seriously love them and have thought about them several times throughout the week because what I think is just so charming about them is that they are about reframing, taking mundane tasks and infusing life and energy into them, reframing your own mindset about yourself, minimizing mistakes, using humor and not self-deprecating humor, but just using humor to change your perspective on yourself, extending grace and encouragement to yourself like you would to a friend. The one about teaching the dog, this cracks me up. But also, they're reframing monotonous information or technical information into something that is interesting for their audience to hold their attention and have patience as the dog is learning. I mean, can't you do that with jurors too? How can you make your teaching section about the standard of care at a hospital sound like the most interesting thing they will ever encounter that day? How can you be more animated as you explain the safety protocols as outlined in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations? I would love to hear from you if you have fun little things you do that maybe you didn't even realize you did, but that just add interest and whimsy into your life. Please, oh, please email me, Christy at fostervoicestudio.com, to just let me know how you would add to this list. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. A too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. Finishing up our series today on the theater courtroom crossover, we're looking at what being a theater actor taught me about courtroom communication, or what skills I learned on stage that have direct carryover to you as a trial attorney. As an actor, there's a lot of exploration that goes into character development. What's their objective in this scene? What's the motivation to cross over there or to pick up this object? And there's also connection with your scene partner, responding and reacting to their actions, their motivations. And to be honest, sometimes it can feel a little silly. I mean, we get in our heads and think, what am I doing up here? This looks terrible. I've got it all wrong. And so then we self-protect. We back off of the energy, back off of the expression to sort of preserve ourselves. It's just an instinct. There's a lot of self-risk on the line. I mean, what if people laugh? What if people don't get what I'm doing? What if I'm not respected amongst my peers? Okay, does any of that self-talk sound familiar to you as a trial attorney? I think actually, regardless of professions, whenever you put yourself out there, there is some personal risk. But what I learned as an actor, actually, I learned it from another actor and took it to heart and have taught it to so many others in my theater education era, is this. We often feel so self-conscious in our character choices, in our stage energy, in our portrayal, because we haven't gone far enough. The storytelling of that moment requires something bigger. And if we can just muster up a little bit more courage to go to that next level, everything will just clunk into place and the insecurity and uncertainty will melt away. It's the teetering on the precipice, walking that ridge line that keeps us second guessing and thereby keeping us in that self-preservation spot. As a trial attorney, how in your head are you? Do you back off in your storytelling section of opening in order to self-preserve and self-protect? When the crippling thoughts of, oh gosh, I've gone too big, this is embarrassing, when those thoughts creep in, could you just gather up a little more bravery to just go a little bigger still? Try getting your voice louder, higher. Try crashing something down to make the sound effect you want. If you could dare yourself to test this theory out, I think you would find, like many stage actors, that things will lock into place and actually provide you a sense of peace. When you self-preserve, then it stays about you instead of about the message or about the client. Your courtroom presentation has to be that, a presentation, not a lecture. I'm putting my theater hat back on, my theater director hat. I used to tell my voice students that they need to perform. It's not a recital, it's a performance. I love what Lloyd Bell said in an article that Courtview Network put out about the power of performance. I don't know if you saw that. I'll link the article in the show notes. But he said, no kid goes to school for tell day. It's always show and tell day. Trial is show and tell day. Step up, bigger, bolder. You'll feel so much better about your presentation if you can take it to the place that it is requiring. Actors perform in a variety of theaters. I mean, honestly, most of us get our start by transforming the fireplace hearth in our family room into a stage and making our parents be our first audience, and they are, God bless them. One of the staples of performance spaces, though, is what's called a black box theater. It's basically what it says it is, a smaller, sometimes square-shaped room, and sometimes very literally, the floor and the walls are painted black, usually smaller, more intimate seating arrangements. A black box theater can become anything you need it to be. A park, a bar, a coat check room, a street corner. In a black box theater, you don't need to have every literal object displayed for the story to unfold. And I think there's a lot of value in a trial attorney thinking of the courtroom as their black box theater space. There is something really powerful about requiring jurors to use their imagination. When a chair can become a car, when a flip chart can be used to substitute for a piece of factory machinery, when the podium can be transformed into a ski resort tower. When you inhabit the space and use abstract items to create imaginary objects, just like you do in a black box theater, you are inviting the jury into the scene. You are empowering them and letting them be part of the artistry. You're tapping into a place within them that they will carry into the deliberation room. Sure, yes, sometimes it's important to have a demonstrative that is literal in order to show details of an injury, for example, a medical grade model of a spine that can show the facet joints and a bulging disc. I've seen some really cool models of that. But if you can use your imagination, you will help them open up their imagination. Use what you have. Co-create with the jury. So go bigger than you think in storytelling in order to really bring the characters to life, and tap into the power of imagination so your jury can internalize your content. Finally, as actors, we are called upon to speak a wide variety of texts. Someone else's words that we have to somehow make our own. Shakespeare's plays have a totally different rhythm, tone, and feel than American classics like Our Town by Thornton Wilder. There are some actors who specialize, but most of the time, actors are called upon to adapt, to adjust, and to adopt the language that is appropriate for the moment. As a trial attorney, you have a couple of different languages that you speak. You have a language, a set of rules, a way of being with the court, with opposing counsel, and to some extent with expert witnesses. The language of the court is Shakespearean, and you have to be masterful at it. You're the top of your game when it comes to citing causes for objections, when you're presenting evidence to be entered, when you're engaging in the mechanics of putting on trial. That's a whole rhythm, tone, and feel that you've spent years training throughout law school and then as you entered into legal practice. The problem is that you've got Our Town sitting in the jury box. Our Town is brilliant in its own way. It's not lesser than Shakespeare. It's just entirely different. It's conversational, it's simple text, simple language, it's everyday analogies, common to humankind problems, quandaries, situations. It's not sophisticated, yet still exquisite and breathtaking, just like your jurors. They need you to speak to them differently than the court requires. You have to switch back and forth, pivot on a dime at full speed. It's a skill. Sure, like acting, natural talent, natural propensities help out. But at the end of the day, acting is a skill. Voice is a skill that has developed, honed, challenged, figured out, just like lawyering and communication for the courtroom. Skills. Skills that help make connections. Connection isn't just something that happens, it's something we create, we build, and we adjust for others. A lot of people think connection is about being yourself and hoping it clicks. But the truth, a connection doesn't just happen. Storytelling, imagination, and language are all skills that create connection. Skills everyone should learn because connection beats competency every single day of the week. If you've enjoyed or learned something, hopefully both, from this theater courtroom crossover series, be sure to drop a review in the podcast just to help others find these episodes. And I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at Christy at fostervoicestudio.com to let me know what your big takeaways have been. Until next week, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster Fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.